I'd like to call the Nashville Town Council regular meeting for Tuesday, November the 3rd, 2020 to order. Let us please stand and say our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Father, we just invite you into this regular council meeting. We ask you for your guidance and your wisdom in all the decisions that we make for the town of Nashville. Amen.
Amen.
Our first item is the approval of our minutes. When you looked over your August 26, 2020 agenda minute meetings, did you find any corrections? If not, do I hear a motion that we approve these minutes? Do I hear a second? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
They are approved. The second minutes are from October the 6th, 2020, the regular meeting minutes. Are there any corrections to those minutes? If not, do I hear a motion that the minutes stand approved as they're given to us?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved for October the 6th, 2020. Sarah, do we have any public comments? Okay, thanks. Since we do not have any public comments tonight, we'll move on to our old business. The first item is the commercial property maintenance ordinance. And I'll read the summary so that all of you will understand that. It says for us, attached is proposed ordinance 2020-03, commercial property maintenance and safety for the town of Nashville. The public hearing for this ordinance was held on October the 28th, 2020, and the changes discussed at the public hearing are in red text. The Nashville Downtown Strong Advisory Board reviewed the ordinance at its August 18th meeting and recommended the council adopt the ordinance. The ordinance has also been reviewed by the town's attorney, Mark Edwards, Fields and Cooper, as well as the Municode's senior code attorney, Dan Walker. The ordinance establishes minimum standards of maintenance, sanitation, and safety for the non-residential buildings and structures per North Carolina General Statute 160D-11-29. The ordinance provides for the repair, closing, or demolition, if needed, of non-residential buildings or structures that are dangerous to the public health, safety, and welfare. Enforcement of this ordinance will prevent non-residential buildings from deteriorating to a point where they are a hazard and on the verge of collapsing. The ordinance will also preserve the character and integrity of the town of Nashville, as well as protect the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens and promote the comfort, happiness, and safety of the residents. Are there any discussions about this, council?
I had a couple of areas where the changes were made, but there was a bit of a miscommunication, so I can go through each of those for the council. On page 12, in D1, just before the red, we just have to add, if the council adopts the ordinance, and then it'll read the rest of it. The ordinance shall be recorded in the office, etc. And then the last sentence of that same paragraph, which is on page 13, and it's in black, should be stricken, where it says, if the town council adopts the ordinance, the code enforcement shall cause the building or the structure to be vacated and closed, because that doesn't fully describe what will happen in that paragraph. For paragraph 2, just under that, this is the paragraph that deals with the removal and demolition of the non-residential structure, so we can strike out the repair, alter, or improve the non-residential building or structure. That one's taken care of in the paragraph above it. And then again, at the bottom, just before the ordinance shall be recorded, we should say, if the council adopts the ordinance, that the ordinance shall be recorded in the office of the Register of Deeds. The next one is on page 16. section D at the bottom. That red other should be taken out, and the last sentence should read, "Nor shall enforcement of any remedy provided herein prevent the enforcement of any other remedy." Then the sentence below that in E should do the same thing, where it says, "Nor shall the enforcement of any remedy provided herein prevent the enforcement of any other remedy." That way it doesn't limit us just to the remedies in here. It can be remedies outside of this document. Those are my only changes for this one.
Do any other council members have any comments? Should we wait to vote on this until these corrections have been made? Do you think?
I'm uncomfortable voting with the corrections made.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we do that?
So moved.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, then this motion, it passes. Now let's move on to our next item, which is 4B, and that's the discussion on Windy Oak Drive. So I'll read the summary of the issue. Stocks Engineering has examined and studied the surface water flowing problems in the Parr Drive, Aubrey Court, Village Lane, Windy Oak Drive, and Laurel Springs Drive neighborhoods, and has come up with several alternative drainage improvement projects to address it. The first one is a 5-year level of service, and it would cost us $75,324. The second alternative is a 10-year level of service, and it's $316,451. Number 3 is a 10-year level of service, and that would cost us $439,425. Number 4 is 100-year level of service, and it would be $369,352. And number 5 is 25-year level of service, and that would be $562,465. With the Windy Oak and Laurel Springs property owners not wanting the open ditch, which is with alternative number 4, alternative number 2 is the next best alternative at $316,541 and a 10-year rain event level of service. The only grant program the town and this neighborhood qualifies for is the Golden Leaf Foundation's Disaster Recovery Program. Unfortunately, the foundation will not have money in this program until the next major disaster impacts our area. Our best option for funding this project is with an internal loan for the general fund balance. Our stormwater fees bring in $140,000 a year. Over the last 2 years, we allocated around $60,000 a year for payroll and operations, $40,000 for storm sewer maintenance, and around $60,000 a year for payroll and operations, and $40,000 for storm sewer maintenance and smaller improvement projects, as well as trying to save $30,000 to $40,000 for large future storm sewer projects. The current storm sewer fund balance is $60,000. If we cover the $22,000 engineering cost and the first $25,000 of construction for alternative number 2 with storm sewer fund balance, and make a $291,451 internal loan for 8 years, the annual payment will be around $36,400. With our current storm water fees of $250 per month per residential lot, $2.50 per residential lot. That was a little high, wasn't it? And $2.50 per month per each 2,500 square feet of area for commercial and industrial property. We can maintain our current level of storm sewer operations and small projects in addition to financing the Windy Oak Drive Drainage Improvement Project. Do you have anything to add to that, Manager? Council, any questions or discussion? So the recommendation is alternative to number 2, and to pay for it with $47,000 in storm sewer fund balance and $291,451 loan from the general fund balance.
It doesn't leave much money for other projects in town.
Yeah.
That's my concern. $40,000 doesn't go far.
You're right. It's chewed up pretty quick.
Mr. Manager, have we got another update on the Windy Oaks? I mean, Indian Trail area.
Indian Trail, the latest on that is I completed the LMI survey and sent it back to the Office of Resiliency, and they are giving it the review, and once we get that approved, then we'll be hitting the target area, which is about 22 homes in the Indian Trail area, doing that income survey. We get the results of that, we'll send that back to the Office of Resiliency, and then hopefully they will help us structure a buyout program for some of the homes in that area.
But we still got 2 or 3 more hurdles to cross before we,
Well, the LMI survey, and then,
right,
you know,
okay.
I'm sure that neighborhood is gonna qualify for funding. It's just the census tract they're in, when you look at it, has other neighborhoods in it, so it doesn't show the true socioeconomic status of that particular neighborhood.
So council,
Question, Mayor, for our finance director. Sam, if I'm reading this correctly, is what we're saying, we will use all of the available funds on an annual basis from the stormwater fees.
Yes.
So if any other projects come up at all, then we will have no recourse except to go back to the general fund to cover those costs.
I
Is
think
that,
there will be,
40,000.
so there would be some additional revenue. So we've got about 40,000 in operations as well as payroll. And so the additional 40,000 for this project, and so that leaves you about, another about 40,000 or so, 40 to 60,000 free. $60,000 plus 40,000, so 60,000 for operations. The 40,000 that we're gonna allocate annually, and then that leaves you about 40,000 annually for projects.
Annually, okay.
The payments are projected at 36. So you're right, and it doesn't leave much left over. But, I don't know, when Sam and I looked at it, not being able to leverage any grant funding on this, we could wait till the Golden Leaf Foundation has funding again, but it's probably gonna.
All those houses are gone.
Negatively impact this neighborhood once again before the fund has any money in it.
And we wonder how many other projects like this are out there.
Well, Louise, and Lee, maybe I can draw upon your expertise for this too. Lee and I were looking at that and talking about that. You know, we have the large open waterway in the Indian Trail subdivision that needs some minor patching repair. And one of the thoughts Lee and I had, every 12 to 15 years, it seems like we're replacing all the riprap in that drainage way and replacing it at a cost of about $20,000 to $25,000. It would be nice to take a segment each year and see if we could concrete the sides and the bottom so that we don't have scouring, we don't have washing in it, and it stays put, so to speak. But, you know, that drainage way's been out there for 42 years since the subdivision was created, and, you know, the minor repairs we have to make now, we can do with the funds we have. Neither of us can foresee at this point any large storm sewer projects similar to this one staring us in the face in the next 5 to 7 years.
Right. I know Chief Joyner did a ride around after the last storm event, so I'm assuming we would know of any other areas that are huge like this. I think we have to do something. I think we have houses that if we do wait for the next disaster to fund this, they will be underwater. I wish we could do number 4. It does seem like it really would eliminate the problem, but with all of the homeowners rejecting it and saying that their property values would go down, it looks like that number 2 is the best bet, because otherwise it's an additional $250,000 to do number 5, and that means that we're wiped out for 10 years doing anyone else's
Right.
problems.
Right.
I rode through the neighborhood the other day, well, more than just once, but, if you go in off of 58 into the neighborhood, don't turn to go back to Windy Oaks, just keep straight. Soon as you pass that little the T intersection there, there's a big drainage ditch there to your left, across from 408, I think it's 409. It's crossing 409. It hadn't rained in a while, and it's 3 foot of water still standing there, and it's not even moving. Does that impact this situation farther down into Windy Oaks?
It potentially could. We have beavers downstream that are causing that waterway to back up.
Okay, that's the one that the beavers have dammed up.
Right, and Coy's working with the USDA Fish and Game Officer, for $350, they will come in, trap the beaver and remove the dams, and like Lee and I were talking, we can't even put our backhoe out there for $350.
Okay.
If we get it stuck, we spent more money pulling it out, so
So that water normally doesn't stand there.
it won't once the beaver dams are removed, but they're not gonna take them out until after they have the beaver trapped, because they'll only rebuild it again.
Right, okay. Okay, that's the beaver hole, okay.
Yeah, it is,
Okay.
So that is being worked on.
yes.
I was wondering, that's another problem.
So we need to make a decision about what to do for Windy Oaks at this time. Do I hear a motion that we go with number 2?
I move that we go with number 2.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor of supporting this, remedy the problem out at Windy Oaks, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. We will go with number 2 and get them straightened up out there.
Mayor, for the record, I voted no.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't say anything.
One no, okay,
One no.
one opposed,
Yes. And I'm quite sure you know my reasons.
yeah. All right, let's move on to, our next item, item C. This is the budget amendment number 9. The police and fire department are requesting funds to repair surplus equipment donated to the town by the U.S. Department of Defense's Law Enforcement Support Service Program. The equipment, with an estimated total value of $425,795, includes 3 LMTV trucks and 2 enclosed trailers. And they're requesting that we approve the amount for this amendment. And someone's going to speak to us about that.
Yeah, we have Captain Winstead here this evening and Chief, our police chief to talk about this budget amendment and how it came about.
Good evening. When it rains in Nashville, it pours. And last year, at least twice, we've had to rescue people from Waffle House, from Ribeyes, from Bojangles. And Captain Winstead is the less so expert, I guess, as far as finding equipment from the military that they donate to law enforcement for free. He ran across some items that we think would be very beneficial to the citizens of the town. The items he ran across do need some upfitting and some work. We put together a presentation that he is going to explain to you why we need the work. This was one of those things where he may search for these vehicles and he may find a vehicle that's in really bad shape, but when he finds a vehicle that's in really good shape, we have to jump on it right then because there are other law enforcement agencies that are searching for those vehicles. These are not tactical vehicles. These are not vehicles that's going to, impact our job on an everyday basis. But these are vehicles that's going to impact the citizens. And you're seeing some of the pictures in this presentation that they're walking through, 5 foot, 4 foot water, this raging water, and these vehicles will make it to where they won't have to do that.
Thank you, Chief. Deputy Chief Joyner, for allowing me to present this to y'all. To explain why it's a joint ask for a budget amendment, kind of explain to where the police department, Nashville Police Department used to be. For, I know, 20 years, it's always been the police, and it's always been the fire, and it's been 2 separate entities. As of the past year, we have come together and we work as one big unit. Just for instance, this used to be the patches, and just this year under the new administration, not only did the police department upgrade their patch, they have it done within 30 years, so is the fire department. So now everything is branded as one joint operation, but we're still representing the police side and the fire side. So talking about the LESO program. The LESO program stands for Law Enforcement Support Services. What that is a national thing anywhere in the U.S. that law enforcement only can go on to the site and request any type of equipment that the military has in surplus. Whether it's anything from, I tell everybody, from hand sanitizer to a helicopter. Highway Patrol currently has 2 helicopters in their fleet. From this program, New Hanover County has 2 helicopters, Brunswick County, and other agencies have multiple other tactical vehicles along with other stuff they have. So just last year, 2019, $293 million worth of property in excess was given to law enforcement through this program. So this is where we've got some of this equipment from. Year to date, when Chief Puckett took office, there was a big storage issue in town. We requisitioned through here and we received 3 Connex boxes. Currently 1 Connex box is housing about 40 to 50 filing cabinets that we had no room for in the police department and the fire department, along with other things. The other 2 are located at the water tower that houses cones and the other equipment that we need for parades, barricades, any support equipment that we may need, keeping it out of the weather. Recently received 15 Pelican boxes for storing our long guns in our vehicles. It was more secure instead of just leaving in the vehicles. The next picture is the LED TV. We received 3 of those. 2 of them are what we want to use operational, and the 3rd one is going to be a parts vehicle to make the other ones if we need something here or there, so we don't have to purchase it for that vehicle. We did receive a Zodiac boat, which is an inflatable boat, but due to the condition when we picked up the Connex boxes, the boat is irreparable, so it's for parts if and when we get a new inflatable boat that we can utilize. First aid kits that we've issued out to our officers, they have everything in it that may need for a gun shot, stabbing, self-aid, or anything that they may need is in the first aid kits. We received a 30-foot trailer and a 24-foot trailer, along with a brand new, never used boat motor that goes with that Zodiac that goes from there. So these are just some of the figures that we've added up for this year. In total, we've received $425,795 worth of free surplus equipment for the military, for the town of Nashville, for the police department, along with the fire department to utilize. The LMTVs they're named light, medium tactical vehicles. We're going to call them high clearance vehicles just to get the tactical stuff out of it so people don't understand that it's not the National Guard when they're coming to get saved. Currently, this is the actual two of the 3 trucks that we have and the forms that they look at. So obviously it looks like the military is rolling in to save them when it's actually the fire department and the police department that we're coming in to rescue them. June 17th, we had a storm that we were not prepared to handle. Well, we were prepared to handle, but we were not expecting it. Torrential downpour came, street flooded, and we had to jump into action. So we went to the EOC, set up a plan, and started having to evacuate people and prepare the town. This is all live footage from news and everything. You have 6458, Bojangles, subject that was trying to leave work from Zaxby's. Overhead view on the bottom left is from Washington Street and Barn Street facing towards 64. The middle bottom picture is Indian Trail, and then the bottom right is when we were saving people from employees and other people that were trapped in cars from Zaxby's and Burger King area. Other things where Chief Puckett talked about, we had people walking in water. The Waffle House picture, we had a rope going across because the water was current moving, and we had fire and police personnel evacuating the Waffle House people that were still inside. The reason it took so long to evacuate, we went multiple times to Rosemart, and all these other places, and asked them to leave. We could not make them leave. They had to wait on their general managers and above people to give them permission to leave. By the time that happened and they got the permission to leave, it was too late, and we had to put people in the water to get them. The boat picture was from the employees at Zaxby's. We ran out of room on the boat. The lady that the fireman's carrying next, she was pregnant, and she couldn't get in the water because of bacteria and other things. She didn't want to risk it, so he towed her all the way from Zaxby's all the way out to the road where there was no water. One person trapped on the vehicle. We have Indian Trail. We have a fire truck that's trapped in the water. The also purpose of not wanting to walk in the water because we had sewage problems. There was human feces and other things in the water floating when our guys were walking in there, along with evacuating the people, which caused other problems as well. So the LMTVs, which would be what we would call the Howard clearance vehicles, have multiple purposes for us. The main purpose is so when it does rain, and even if it sprinkles a little bit in Nashville, we're going to have flooding on both sides of town. So we can drive in water up to the mirrors on that truck. I've seen National Guard people drive past the mirrors, but that would be our safety spot. We won't stop at the mirrors, even in current moving water. Each truck is equipped with ladders that are stored in the vehicle so they can climb up into the back and drive and get into the back out a safe way, and we move them out of harm's way. So part of the $80,000 that we are asking for, $60,000 would be for these two vehicles. $30,000 a piece for a truck for $60,000. So that includes the paint and decaling, emergency lighting, and the white light. In the packet I included, you may be wondering why we were getting a roof rack that was going on the top of it. In the top left picture, there's white LED light bars up there, and that's what we want to use the roof racks for. So at nighttime, when we're rescuing people, we can have illumination so the guys can see when it's in cold, dark water. They're not just having flashlights in their hands. We can make it white light available for them. So then also on the bottom right, we will spray in bed liner into the bed of the trucks. So when it's wet and slippery, there's textured material there. So not only our personnel that's rescuing people is safe, but the victims that we're getting out of the water will also not slip and fall. Those trucks, the beds have seating that is made in there. They can fold up on the sides and they can fold out for people to sit on. So at later time, we could utilize it for other things if needed to haul water or whatever during large storm events or snowstorms or whatever else. These trucks are all-wheel, four-wheel drive all the time. They have a computer system on there that once we get to a low speed and we tell it something, when we push a button on the inside, it deflates the air in the tire. So when we're in moving current water, the truck has a more ground base on the asphalt or wherever we're on so that it don't move when we're in current water. So each truck, when it rolls out, will have a 5-man crew. It will have a driver, it will have a spotter, it will have 3 people in the bed of the truck. That would be 1 safety officer, it would be 2 people that's rescuing people, getting in and out of the water, putting them in the truck. And then once they get in the truck, the safety officer will check them along with keep an eye on the 2 personnel. Each truck will be equipped with rescue equipment. It will have rescue helmets, life jackets, throw ropes, safety throw and flotation vest, and suits for the rescuers to wear. That would be standard in each truck. And like I said, each truck would roll out with a 5-man crew when it rolls out. The purpose of having 2 trucks, during our last event, we had people at the same simultaneous times on the east side and west side of town that we were rescuing, and we had to split our stuff up so that we could have personnel at each site going through there. Luckily, we were able, one fire department in the county was able to come with their boat and assist one, and we could send personnel to the other way to get the people out from Indian Trail. This is a rude rendering that I came up with on paint because this vehicle is nowhere around here. There's no resources like this within 100 miles from here to the coast that will have this capability. So if you can imagine, the cab of this truck will be silver. The bed along the side of it will be silver. Tires, bumpers, and the chassis area will be black. The canopies will be black. The writing will be silver. We'll say Nashville Fire and Police with both our patches on each side of it to simplify that it is Nashville coming to rescue you and not the National Guard or the Army or anybody else is coming. And then this one also has the lighting around it as well. So this is the LMTV's Howard clearance vehicles. Any question on that part? Yes, ma'am.
In our packet, it says that you got 3 of those, but I think
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
hearing.
I got 3 of them, and they were mechanically sound. When we received them from Fort Bragg. We can go to any military base in the U.S. These were at Fort Bragg, so we didn't have to go far. When we loaded up, we went with a certified ASE diesel mechanic. He went through these vehicles before we took possession of them, and we drove them from Fort Bragg to here. The purpose of getting 3, where these parts are hard to find, and instead of having to purchase them online or wherever we may need to, I have a parts vehicle where if I need a door or a window, the motor messes up, I have a donator truck that we hopefully won't cost us anything other than the mechanic taking some stuff off and putting it on the other one to get back up and running.
Okay.
Any other questions on the high water trucks?
Where are we gonna, where we're gonna store these trucks?
Currently, they will be stored at the water tower in the lock fence. Whenever the fire department has Station 2 acquired in there, the carport awnings that are currently at the main station now, we will utilize them to house them there under cover at that point in time if Chief Joyner has no other fire trucks that need to be parked under there.
At the fire department?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're gonna put 2 of them in service and keep the third one just as a
Out
park?
of sight, out of mind until we need a park.
Till we need a park?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Does the $80,000 include upfitting the third truck?
No, ma'am. So the 80,000 was the total. As 60 of that will be split to the 2 trucks for 30,000 apiece. That's paint, decal, the equipment, the rescue equipment that's needed, everything for that truck. Each truck will receive 30,000. The other 20 will go towards the trailers that I will move towards next.
And when you say simultaneous events requiring the 2, you're talking about when the evacuations had to occur downtown and then there was,
Yes, ma'am. At the same time, we were getting people
At
from
Indian
the
Trail?
businesses on this side of town, from Bojangles, Zaxby's, all that. We were starting to receive calls of the residents at Indian Trail that didn't
Okay.
want to leave earlier. They now water was encroaching and getting in the house, and we had to evacuate them from their residences. So we had to split our forces and send some over there as well.
okay.
So the purpose of having 2 vehicles operational would be to do that way. Also, another purpose for these trucks, when the Blooming Festival comes, trunk or treat, trick or treat that we do in town, and any other things, Christmas sprays that we need to shut the road for down, we can utilize these vehicles that are marked big barricades and shut the road down, and they will have warning lights other than just using barricades and our police cars that can be used for other things.
Ms. Sanchez, do we have the money? Can we find it?
It would be fund balance.
It would be all fund balance.
Oh, dear.
That's why I asked that question.
$80,000 would buy 2 new police vehicles.
Yes, ma'am, it would buy 2 of these. I know that seems like a large ask. All right, we don't come to you, we come to you respectfully. I know that seems like a large ask, but we're asking for the safety of the citizens and the safety of the first responders that are going to rescue these people. This is gonna happen again. The infrastructure in this town does need some work, but regardless of how much money is put into the infrastructure, the way this town is and the way the bottoms are in some of these locations, this is going to continue to happen. We are looking the safest way possible to rescue citizens and keep those citizens as well as the first responders safe. Instead of tying a rope on the firefighters and the police officers and moving those employees out of the Waffle House when the water's raging 25 to 30 miles per hour, we could take this truck and drive right up to the Waffle House and let them come right out the door. Because at the door, it wasn't wet. The water wasn't standing at the door, it was standing where they had to come across. But we had to tie that line off to the fire truck, and we couldn't take the fire truck into that high water because of the way the fire truck is made. The exhaust of the fire truck is on the bottom of the truck. The exhaust on these is on the top of the truck. And again, it's $130,000 per truck
Yes, sir. 120 per truck.
is what they would cost. They have to be painted. So in order to paint them, they have to be sandblasted and painted. That's military regulations. That's not our regulations.
So when you say have to, they require that,
The
that nobody
rest of
thinks that the
department
military is
requires it.
coming up?
Correct. yes,
Okay, all right, so we couldn't even use these if something happened in their current state?
Well, we have a year, is it a year?
Yes, sir.
We have a year
Why don't we do
to
that
paint
till
it.
we get it?
So we could use them, actually, we had them out.
Okay, so we
during the
could, if
last
something
torrential
happens
storm.
between now and a year from now, we can use them?
Yes, ma'am, that's
But
correct.
within that
were
year, they have to be
utilizing
painted?
The last one that we had, they were on standby in the back of the police department, and luckily we had no issues and needed. Yes.
Okay,
So the 2 trucks would be 60,000. The other 20,000 is for the trailers that we have in our fleet. So currently, there's a 15-foot enclosed trailer the town of Nashville Police Department is in its fleet. It's in some dire need of some help. The decaling along with the metal that the trailer is made on has never been properly taken care of, and we've tried to acid wash it, do different things to make it look more presentable and more professional to display our image representing the town of Nashville. And it's just not currently there. The brake lights need to be replaced, the wiring harness needs to be redone, and different things need to be addressed on this particular trailer. So the 60,000 for the 2 trucks and the 20,000 will go towards these 3 trailers. This first trailer is 15 foot that we want to revamp and make more usable and haul more weight with the cones and stuff that we have and barricades that we use when we do traffic. This one, like I said, was currently in the fleet when Chief Puckett came, and we've had to make some type of modification on it so we can be utilized. Recently, at some point in time, there was a capital outlay plan for the police department and the fire department to receive money to purchase new trailers this year or next year. And I'm unaware of what happened to that funding, but we didn't get the funding. Chief Joyner needed a trailer. So I was looking on Lesso and I found this 24-foot enclosed trailer for Chief Joyner to utilize for rescue equipment instead of having to purchase one. This trailer currently has shelving in it already that can be utilized to store his equipment, his rescue equipment, and whatever else equipment they're going to use for it. That will be priority for the fire department to use their stuff. Secondly, like I said, the police department, we have multiple barricades. We're gradually getting more barricades for the amount of blooming festival traffic and other parades and detours that we have throughout the town, whether it's a storm-related event or it's a function that we're having within town. So acquired a 30-foot trailer to house cones, barricades, and anything else that we may need to redirect traffic. Both of these trailers were given to us through Lesso. Right now, all we have in them is a tank of gas apiece going to Virginia, picking them up and bringing them back. We have utilized them to pick up some furniture and different stuff from NC State and bring to town hall. Other than that, we haven't had a need yet to use these barricades. So all 3 of these trailers, from here on out, any trailer that Chief Puckett and Chief Joyner has agreed to, any piece of equipment like this, will all be uniform to represent the public safety aspect of the town of Nashville. So in the rendering, each trailer will be wrapped silver. And to cover up the white and the imperfections and everything that are on the trailer, along with receiving both decal patches that represent the police department and the fire department. Then they will be labeled Nashville Fire Police. That way there is a unified front that shows both departments working together, along with, we can also have a professional appearance when we use these employees out in public. Along with the high water vehicles, these also can be utilized to barricade roads and block streets and detour traffic when we have traffic events and stuff that we need to use, where before we have used, from my knowledge, town dump trucks or other vehicles, backhoes and stuff to detour traffic and shut roads down. When this will be, all this decal will be reflective, so at nighttime, somebody's just not riding up on a dump truck or a backhoe in the middle of the road when their lights hit it. It will reflect, and they will see that it is law enforcement or fire department detouring that traffic function. And like I said, so the 3 trailers, to rip the decals off, the old decals, and rewrap all these trailers and fix other where they need jacks, lights, wiring harnesses, spare tires, stuff like that. That's what the other 20,000 of the $80,000 budget amendment would go towards. So 60,000 for the 2 trucks and the other 20 to outfit these 3 trailers to put in the fleet representing the agencies. So any questions on the trailer aspect of it?
Is Chief Joyner here?
Yes, sir.
Chief, do we still have that 20-foot trailer we had for confined space?
That's the trailer, that's one of our trailers, that's one of our 3 trailers we have now.
That's one of,
That's the actual trailer we did the rendering off of, yes, sir.
okay, so we still have that trailer?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
One
okay.
of the things I want to say about the trailer he's talking about, that trailer with the trench on it, now the trench panels, everything, it's overweight. So we run into a weight issue there. That's what we use the other trailer for, is disperse some of that equipment. When we went to confined space training now, we confined space, structural collapse, plus trench.
Mhm.
Reason we did that is because of structures. So when you set this up, we were just trying to get us stable enough so when USAR comes in from Raleigh,
Mhm.
Greenville, somewhere like that, and they bring 4 or 5 trailer truckloads of lumber in to do what we have to do, I can at least get us started on it.
Right.
One other thing I want to add to the truck that Captain Winston forgot, there's a pertinent thing that's on these trucks too. There's a winch system on this truck that can go to every part of this truck, which has a capability of being able to pull trees out of the road during hurricanes and things of that nature. Well, we've run into problems before. The tree that fell down here back during the other storm, this truck could have winched to it and we could have pulled it out of there. It's got an inch cable on that truck, so it's big, and it's got a hydraulic system that is very strong, but it's designed to where it can actually pull trees and things out of that. So it's got a universal use of more than just being able to go through water, it can actually pull trees. Remember, we run into this problem also when we have ice storms. Those trucks can be utilized for those too, because we can actually use those in spots going through snow and things of that nature because of the weight capacity and the able to disperse the tires down. So.
Are there any questions for Captain Winston?
Well, maybe this would be addressed to Chief Puckett and Chief Joyner. I know both of you had requested additional personnel and vehicles and equipment in the prior budget process. Would you be willing to forego some of that in the coming budget year in order for us to be able to do something like this? Because this is going to be a direct takedown of fund balance money that we had not allotted or allowed for this year within the budget.
So you're asking for the upcoming budget, is that what you're asking for? Our upcoming budget, the main thing that we have is the station. We don't have any pickups, and we're not gonna ask for personnel next year either in our budget. We get the 3 people that we've asked for this year. We're gonna be stable right now, but we're not asking for any large light items in our next year budget other than starting on Station 2, which is a needed asset. And we can remember we raised the fire tax to do that in the Gully District, to start that station.
What about the police department?
Well,
And
honestly, I mean, I don't know that that's a question I can answer without looking at the numbers. You know, we asked for 2 additional personnel, well, we asked for 4 additional personnel last year, and we were gonna get 2 prior to COVID, and then the detective got canceled, and then the cops grant didn't come through. So I really can't truthfully answer that without looking at the numbers. We do need another detective bad, and we do need additional personnel, so, you know, I don't want to tell you something tonight and then go back on my word later without having that information in front of me.
And I guess what I'm asking is, you know, in the situation of priorities, you know, what is the greater need that you need as a police chief and the fire chief going forward, because
Well, at
it's
the
just a
present
large
time-
sum of money.
At the present time, this is the need that we have right now, at the present time. I can't tell you what need we're gonna have next year in the future. Like I said, I know that we need a detective, and I know that we need additional personnel. You know, weighing the balance, we do need this right now. In the future, you know, I don't know. I think we would have to look at the numbers and see.
Well, I don't know that we need to look at it as $80,000 right now either, because if we have these trucks that are functional and we have a year to paint them, can we not do one now, one the next budget, or wait to paint them until the next budget year and just utilize them until then? And then as for the trailers, and by the way, thank you. I mean, this is all free. I think you did really great work. I don't think anyone is doubting that you've done a wonderful thing here. Right now, it just comes down to what we can do. And, you know, we were really tight on the budget this year. We didn't do the COLAs. We didn't do a lot of the things that, you know,
Right.
positions. We didn't do a lot. So if we could look at it more piecemeal and possibly do some of it, not all of it.
And I think that is something that we could work with for sure. I mean, there's equipment that needs to be purchased to put in there. But I mean, I agree. I think there's a way to do it and get it done, so it can benefit us and the town. And I also want you to know that when Captain Winston went to get those vehicles, it's not like we have to keep those vehicles. You see what I'm saying? He saw an opportunity, and he seized that opportunity to get the best vehicles there. So we got the equipment, and now we're presenting the rest of the plan to you. Okay? It's not like we just operated on our own. All right? I just want you to know that. It's not like we were not being upfront with you. We jumped on an opportunity, seized that opportunity, and now we present it to you. But I mean, I think that is, you know, that is a workaround solution that, you know, we could definitely work with, because as I said, we've got a year to paint the vehicles. There's just certain equipment that we would have to put on the vehicles. So the staff on the vehicle can properly use that equipment to do the rescue.
Chief, you mentioned you had to buy equipment to put on that vehicle. What kind of equipment we talking about and how much?
Well, that's what Captain Winstead was talking about. Now, I don't know the price, but, you know, maybe a stretcher board.
Part of the equipment would be the roof rack, the LED lighting, not the illumination light, so we can use at nighttime. The warning light systems, red and blue lights on there. Backboards, the rescue warded equipment, the helmets and stuff like that. There would also be a toolbox on the truck locked on there, so when each truck rolled out, it would have the proper amount of rescue equipment for our personnel.
That's above and beyond the 80,000.
No,
that
sir,
you're wishing.
no, sir.
included.
Everything,
okay.
but
It's
everything
included.
that we would do
Okay.
to outfit this truck would be part of
In
that,
the 80,000.
that 60,000 for both vehicles. Any and all equipment, decal and painting, all that is included in that. Yes, ma'am.
You received those from the military.
Yes, ma'am.
How long, do they keep ownership of them for a certain period of time? Are they ours? How does that
So
work?
for a year, they are the military's. After that 1 year threshold is over, they become our property. And if we decide to sell them, then the way the federal government has that system rolled up is that money received from whatever equipment that may be, as long as it's not a tactical vehicle, like if it was an armored vehicle or something like that, we can never sell it. It has to go back to the military when we don't want it. As far as these vehicles are concerned, if we sold them, then the money would have to go back into the police department budget, not the general fund. The federal government does that. It goes back into the police department.
Yes.
I will say, you know, it might be possible, by the end of the year, we might not have to use any fund balance for this project. You know, we did sell timber. We got $40,000 for that. We received $88,000 from the county in CARES Act money. These are, revenues that we weren't expecting, and, so we may not have to use as much fund balance.
But we got to
Still
take
early to tell.
but we've got to take a sizable amount of that money we got from the timber to pay another company to get the stumps up.
That's right,
Right.
42,000.
42,000 on that.
So that just killed that.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So you say the military still owns it for the next year. What's the purpose of that? Is if they need it, they can take it back?
Yes, ma'am. Even though they are, this all of the equipment is surplus, the trailers as well as the belly cases. If we went to war again,
Right.
and they didn't have enough equipment throughout the bases, they would recall this equipment. But to my knowledge, and I've been doing the LESO program for the past 15 years with the sheriff's office, and they were war events, they have never recalled anything. It's just their rule that they have.
The only time equipment such as this has been taken back from a municipality is because it's made for police and fire. If, no offense to Lee, Public Works were to use this vehicle to pick up stumps, LESO would come get this vehicle back because it's been donated to them.
And they would suspend us,
And they- yeah.
suspend the town from the program.
So you don't mean like the use one time with your supervision. You mean if we were to give it to the Public Works Department to do?
Like if there have been municipalities in North Carolina that have allowed Public Works Department to use such vehicles to pick up stumps or to pick up limbs. And first was a warning, second was, hey, we're coming to get the vehicles and we're gonna suspend you from the program. So,
What concerns me is that the council was never read into this LESO program at all. In other words, you're coming to us after the fact. We got all this equipment, and it's kind of like,
right, and I understand that, and as I said earlier, I understand that concern. Captain Winston saw an opportunity to get these vehicles that were in top shape. We took a diesel mechanic down to get those vehicles. Just because we get the vehicles doesn't mean anything at that point. We are implementing the plan one by one. So we seized the opportunity to get the vehicles then because it was there. Many of these vehicles, I would probably say, 90 out of 100 are not in good condition when they hit the LESO website. And the ones that are in good condition most of the time are so far from our location, we would have to have them shipped or have to drive for days to go get them. These were at Fort Bragg at the time. So it was a 1 in 1,000 chance for us to go ahead and get those vehicles while they were there, because most of the vehicles that were there were not in good condition. These were in very good operating condition. So under my authority and Chief Joyner's authority, Captain Winston went and got these vehicles. So if if you want to blame somebody, that's my fault. But I seized an opportunity that I thought we had to get these vehicles, and that's why we got those. I mean, but no money was spent in getting these vehicles.
Yeah.
Except for the $80,000.
Right, but
But
that
that
doesn't
hasn't
have to
been
be
spent
spent.
yet.
We can say no right now, and they'll
Right,
still
that
have the
hasn't been
vehicles.
spent yet. That's the plan we're presenting to you now. But had we not got those vehicles, it may be a year and a half or 2 years before we get another vehicle that's in this condition. That was why we seized that opportunity at the moment.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to suggest that we grant the fire and the police department $40,000 from fund balance to do one truck and do what he can on the trailers, and we will address the other issue in next year's budget. I hope you guys know that I'm all for the police and fire, but I'm also responsible for how I respond to the citizens of Nashville, and I got to look at the bottom line on the dollars. So I would suggest that we grant them 40, do what you can with it, and we'll readdress this next year's budget.
Do I hear a second to that, or do other discussion?
I guess it failed.
I can second that. Based on what Sam has said, with where we can possibly find some of these
And
funds.
Sam, where did you say we could find that extra?
Well, I was, gonna suggest the sale of timber, but I was not aware
Oh.
that we have a large.
So really, there's no
Well,
profit in the
there's
sale of
no-
timber?
Well, it's not necessarily true, and we've got, it's early, and, our revenues are coming in, a lot better than we expected. So we may have to use less fund balance than we actually appropriated, so we might be able to come in a little
We
ahead.
might.
We just spent 316 on stormwater.
We just received the $41,000 back from the grant that I had wrote that we got reimbursed from the federal government on. So you just received that money back too.
How much was that, Chief?
The grant that I wrote that we received, the, generator and the climate vent system that we paid up front, they paid us back that $41,000. The town has received their money back.
That money went into last fiscal year.
So
It was
could we
a
use
last
that
fiscal
for
year.
this?
So that went back.
It was for last
Just saying that was money dropped back to us.
We did receive for this.
Right.
But we can use the reimbursement he received
Right.
for the other equipment.
Well,
Like a
it's
full-
basically all coming from fund balance because that rolls to fund balance.
That's right,
Mhm.
yeah.
I mean, ideally, I would like to see it probably handled through the budget process. But since we're this far along with it, I would be willing to consider maybe what Larry was suggesting, to do this now and then address the rest of it at the,
I think it's so
Coming up to
important that when we make a budget, that we stick to it the best we can, because we do have,
Can we see, before we do this, can we see a breakdown of exactly how much it's gonna cost for the equipment versus the painting? Maybe we can chip away a little bit to see what it would be to upfit one of these trucks to fix, the one main trailer, and then we can do it through the next budget process for the remainders. Is that too much?
Well, let's do what we can with the $40,000, and if they come up, if they don't use the 40,
Well,
let them
the
come back.
40 will be used.
Well, I mean, if they only zero in on one truck and then zero in on wrapping two trailers rather than,
Right. I'm-
two trailers rather than three, right? Because total is three trailers, right?
Yes, sir, total of 3 trailers.
And two trucks.
Yes, sir.
If we concentrate on upfitting one of the trucks and wrapping two trailers rather than three, and let's see how much under the 40 we come in, let them come back to us and say, okay, we did what, that, we still got this much money left, let's move to the next step.
and we'll do that in the
We're gonna have
budget.
to, we got to piecemeal it because, you guys caught us off guard,
Right.
You got to understand that, you caught us off guard. Not saying we don't want you to have it, because I definitely want you to have it. Because I've seen what you guys are doing with that stuff, and I totally agree with the safety of the citizens and with our employees. But, as Ms. Henson always says, we got to watch the checkbook, and we have to,
We just spent 316,000 on stormwater,
right?
80,000 in this. We need to stick to a budget. We just put a budget to bed in June. We were 11% over last year's budget. I think it was more like 17, but we can say it's 11%.
And like I said, I understand that, but the water you saw there was June 17th after the budget. So this was an opportunity that we got after the budget. And after we went through that, I just felt like when we saw this and we saw that opportunity, it was a good opportunity to seize the equipment and try to do with that. But, I had no idea that this town floods the way it does until June 17th.
Chief,
And-
we've lived through June 17th occurrences more than once here in Nashville.
Right, and
Before
I
you got
understand
here.
that. And-
So,
and-
I mean,
and
we
looking
go
back-
through this at least once every year.
Right, and looking back at history,
Yeah.
that was why when we saw
Every
this
year.
opportunity, we tried to seize it.
And we survived the other years, so,
So
my
there's,
motion still stands.
so there's been a motion that we allow them to spend 40,000 at this time to, fix one truck and some trailers so that they'll be usable for them to use now. And it's been seconded. So let's take a vote on that. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Okay, motion carries 3 in favor and 1 opposed.
So I've got a budget amendment for that, and so I'll go ahead and, just request the budget amendment to be approved. I'm gonna amend the figures to be 30,000 and 15 and 15 for each, the police and the fire department.
So I need to get a motion to amend the budget, right?
Just
Or
that
was
budget
that-
amendment that's attached, it's in with this paperwork. It's.
Oh, you got an amendment in for the whole thing?
Right.
Right,
that's
so
Now
we
we
need to
just
change that to
we need to
40.
change it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
And you can do that. Okay.
yeah.
Let us move on to the next item. The
But
next
Don't
item,
don't we have to approve the budget amendment?
do we need to approve that?
We,
Budget amendment number 9, you did, in essence.
Yeah, and she's just gonna,
adjust
Yeah,
it.
it has
Right,
to be
just-
revised.
All right.
the next issue is the summary. I'll read you the summary. It's the rezoning request to rezone property located off Liberty Drive from R10, medium density residential, to R6, high density residential. The parcel contains approximately 17.99 acres and identified by Nash County tax parcel number is 3800-1692-8666. These are the staff comments. The rezoning request from R10 to R6 as presented is to provide 8,000 square foot lots for 2 family dwellings to be located within Phase 2 of Liberty Acres subdivision. The minimum lot size required for R10 is 10,000 square feet for a single unit and 12,000 square feet for a double unit. The minimum lot size requirement for R6 is 6,000 square feet single unit and 8,000 for a double unit. According to Nashville's NC Code of Ordinance Section 18-112, descriptions of districts, the R10 is defined as medium density residential areas of mostly single-family dwellings, whereas the R6 district is defined as medium to high-density residential areas, where single-family and multifamily dwellings are community-led and shared, and certain open areas where similar residential development will likely occur. Overall, both R10 and R6 zoning districts share the same residential land uses. Although this rezoning request is proposing a smaller minimum lot size, 2 family dwellings are allowed by a special use permit in both R10 and R6 zoning districts. The surrounding zoning districts of the petition property are R10 medium density residential, MF multifamily high density residential, and A-1 agricultural zoning districts. With regards to the future land use map, the petition property is classified as low residential growth, whereas the surrounding properties are classified as high, medium, and low-density residential growth. And the staff recommends approval of this, and the planning board did approve this Z 2020-04. Any comments from Sherry or the manager on this, or anyone else?
the applicant is here this evening, if you have any additional questions for him. Jeremy Reason with Reason Development.
Do you have any questions for him, council? No questions?
Well, didn't this handout that Randy gave us earlier say that it was not consistent with what our land use plan is?
Yeah, I can explain that. At the planning board meeting, the motion and second was to recommend the rezoning because it was consistent with the land use plan, the code of ordinances, the feature, and the comprehensive plan. As the statement that the mayor just read, the future land use plan shows this property as low density. What they're asking for is a high density, or I'm sorry, a medium density is what it's slated for. So I called the planning board members today and pointed that out to them. And I was able to reach 5 of the 6, and those 5 are agreeable to amending their consistency statement to say that the I'll call it 18 acres because it's 17.9 off Liberty Drive with regard to the rezoning from R10 to R6, based on the review of the comprehensive plan, the code of ordinances, the future land use map, and other official plans of the town, it was noted that the rezoning request was not consistent with the future land use map, which has the property slated as medium residential development. And despite this inconsistency, the planning board voted unanimously to recommend to the town council the property be rezoned to R6 high density residential, noting the following. One, the growing desire of homeowners today wanting smaller lots and smaller homes and having less yard work and maintenance on home and property. 2, that Nashville still has within town limits 3 large tracts of land containing an estimated 168 acres of land that's already zoned R10 in 3 subdivisions, that being the Cottonwood subdivision phase 2, Cross Creek Community phase 2, and the old Birchwood golf course is all zoned R10. And that the future land use map is 10 years old, and Nashville's growth and development over this same time period has surpassed a lot of the slated uses that were targeted with that land use map 10 years ago. Those are the reasons why the planning board, in their discussion with regard to this, are recommending the rezoning of this from R10 to R6, even though it's inconsistent with the future land use plan, which was done 10 years ago.
Any questions or comments?
I have one question. I think we determined that with R10, you could develop 29 lots, and with the R6, it was 36.
I did believe it was it 30, it was 39, I do apologize.
39,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
And if I'm wrong, I did not mean to.
Oh, no,
mislead you.
that's quite all right. If it stays R10, would you still develop with this vision?
I don't see, honestly, from a financial standpoint, how I can do that. We purchased the land again, I want to say it was 2012. I purchased it outright. The Reason Company, underneath that we have Reason Construction Company, which does commercial and residential development, been doing it since 1975. Also underneath that we have Reason Development, which is actually into, developing, residential areas and things of that nature. So we actually have a hand in it, and we are general contractors, or builders. We are water contractors, licensed with the state of North Carolina. Sewer contractors licensed with the state of North Carolina. We have ran the numbers all different ways that we can, and even owning three of the main companies that you will need to develop this property. It's just not a way to make it work from a financial standpoint, with the R10 being the 29 lots.
With there being 10 more units that you'd be
Yes,
able to
ma'am.
do
Yes, ma'am.
with the R6?
Any other questions?
Are the residents in Liberty Acres fully aware of this?
Yes, ma'am, I know we did everything that we were required to do. And I think they actually, someone called and it was about the insurance sign and whatnot. So it wasn't about the complaint of, or anything to do with
It was like, what, the grass,
The hedges up on the front.
hedges up on the
Yes,
front.
ma'am. And she emailed me about that, I want to say it was Wednesday. And that was something I did not know was our responsibility, but that is something that will be taken care of, you know, ASAP. Because we actually bought the back end part of the property. We were not the developers from, the first phase. Thank you, first phase.
Okay.
Any other questions or comment from the council?
So the residents in Liberty Acres received letters of notification,
Yes,
all residents.
Those
within,
that were,
within 100 feet.
We'll see the, you know,
those that are required to by our zoning ordinance were notified.
Were there any additional notifications after the planning board meeting? Because I think that was brought up about,
No, there was not.
Yeah, I thought Larry had said that he wanted the rest of Liberty Acres to be notified.
I did, and I rode by there, and I didn't see any signs anywhere.
The sign is on the vacant, at the end of it.
It's at the end?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where it is.
So what is the desire of the board? Do I hear a motion of any type?
Well, if we got no, if we don't have any pushback from the residents that were contacted, no pushback from them, and it seems like the last request we had up here, our zoning stuff has a little bit to be desired. We need to update that. We need to make sure when we update it, that we include what these what the builders now are requesting to cover them, because it seems like, we're putting the horse before the carriage. They want this done, and we're circumventing our plans to include them. And I have no problem with including them from that, because I know where that 17 acres is, I know where it lays, and I don't think it would disrupt the community that much. So I'm inclined to agree with it, but at the same time, we need to make sure that when we update our plans, that we do what we need to do. So when we do approve other people coming forth, because I'm quite sure we do this one, there's going to be somebody else going to come up with the same thing. And we need to make sure we get it in line, so we need to make sure it's right.
And the sign is where people can view it and see it.
It's on the actual subject property.
what,
So
I'm
you
not
would-
going to, I'm not going to
It's on the
doubt that.
subject property, which means that you would have to
You
be
got to go to
driving
the
down
end.
that way
You got to go all the
see
way down
it.
to the end of it to see it.
yeah, you're not gonna see it by just entering that neighborhood.
No,
of
you will
Liberty
not.
Acres.
And
Should we get
when
it
I
where
went in
they
there, I
see it for a while?
circled the entire neighborhood,
Should we put it where
but I
they
didn't
can
look
see it
over my
for a
shoulder to see
while?
what was behind me on your property, so I'm not saying it's not there,
Do I
but
hear a
I didn't
motion
see
of
it.
that?
I wouldn't be opposed to complying with what Larry had said last time and have those Liberty people notified and have the sign put where folks could actually see it. I honestly don't think you're gonna get pushback. I don't think you're gonna get pushback. I don't think that we're going to have much, but I would like to at least have said to whatever citizens do find out if there is any problem, that we did everything that we
We
could
did
to
everything
notify
to
them.
let them know.
Right.
I won't be able to tell them, you had a chance
Right.
to say something about
And
it.
we don't want to stifle your development, you know, what your plan was, it sounds beautiful. And obviously, we do want development in Nashville, and we need it to be both beneficial for the residents and to the builders. But if we could get the sign maybe put in the
Can you
forefront.
make that in form of a motion?
I can make this in a motion. I mean, I move that we table this until we can get the sign placed where the Liberty Acres people can see it.
I'm not, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
Second.
mean to interrupt. I'm not supposed to do that.
No, it's okay.
I'm so sorry. I was about, just let me know where you want
Mhm.
that sign. And I'm not trying to be funny or anything.
No,
like
no,
that.
I understand.
It'll be right there.
So maybe in the entryway
Yeah.
to
so
the
they can-
neighborhood?
Well, it needs to be an entryway to both neighborhoods.
Yeah,
Entryway to Liberty Acres, entryway to,
Or we can do like a letter in the mail kind
yeah,
of thing.
do something.
I understand this is not part of our ordinance. Are we allowed to?
Right, well, the thing is, we've done our part for notification, and I understand your feelings of putting this, putting the signage where it's supposed to be. We're just following what our code says.
Right.
Right.
But
mhm,
if we need to put one on the property, and but is this the reason, are you tabling or?
Tabling. Yeah, there's no denial or
so
anything like that, just table so that we can make sure that the folks that will be affected with traffic and density are notified.
Okay.
And then we can take it up at the next.
Exactly.
But let it be shown that we did do what.
No, I understand. You complied
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
with what we required. That's why I'm
Yeah, you
asking,
did your
can
part.
we have certain requirements, they fulfilled those requirements. We just want to, because it's in a spot where you would literally have to be driving down past your house where you wouldn't be going anyway, no one's going to see the sign. And I know you did notify everybody within the 100 yards, which is what we require.
100 feet.
100 feet, sorry.
Yeah.
100 yards would have done it. So if that's allowed, if we can table this until just notification or a sign is placed so that folks had notice,
And place one at maybe the entrance and.
right, the two entrances,
Okay.
then I would like to table it until our next meeting.
Now, if we do that, do we have to have another public hearing? No?
No.
We do
No.
not?
No.
Okay.
Do I hear a second to
I already seconded.
She second.
Okay, all those in favor of us tabling it until the signs get out, let me, hear it by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we'll get those signs out and then we'll take care of this at the next time. Thank you so kindly. Now we'll move on to our, next item, our new,
Put two signs out now, where would they be located?
At the two
I'm
entryways,
suggesting one at the,
At phase
one at the
one?
entrance, one at the
Phase
entrance
one?
to, huh?
Right off 58.
Right.
Phase one?
Right, uh-huh.
That's really gonna, yeah, okay.
That's really gonna work.
I think that's gonna be, because they think their property's being rezoned.
But at least they'll ask the question.
Yeah.
And then we can answer that.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure they know, so you slipped it in behind us, so we didn't know nothing about it.
all right, our new business, 5A, is rescheduling of the November 25th Joint Council and Planning Board meeting. Per the regular meeting schedule, the Council and Planning Board are due to participate in a joint meeting on November the 25th. Due to the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, it is requested that the Council officially amend its regular meeting schedule. The date being postponed as an alternative is November the 18th. Do I hear a motion that we change the meeting from November the 25th to November the 18th?
So made.
Mayor, sorry, I have a conflict. I'm out of town, but I don't think a decision's being made that night, correct? This is just for the hearing that I can watch on YouTube?
It's the public hearing.
Okay, so if you all don't mind that I won't be here.
Is that the only, do the rest of you agree that we change that date to the 18th, so that's, okay, if I hear a motion that we do,
Second.
a second.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
So the meeting will be, put that on your calendar, November the 18th.
Aye.
Our next business is creating and appointing a tree board separate from the PRCR board. And the council previously discussed the desire for the town to have a tree board with different members than the PRCR board. However, this issue was tabled for a later date. The PRCR board recommends that the council revisit the conversation, the formation of a tree board. Several members of the community have expressed interest in serving, including Donald Street, Elaine Robertson, Victoria Frazier, and Wyatt McGee. To revisit, this is their recommendation, is that we revisit and further discuss the creation of a tree board, adopt Chapter 27 tree board, and appoint the individuals mentioned above. What are the desires of the council?
I think this is wonderful. I think this is what the council had brought up as being one of their concerns before the tree board was created. I think that the Parks and Rec Board is a little over their head with regard to trees.
Yeah.
I see the folks that have decided to sign up for this, and I know that they are well-versed in this.
So are you making a
I
motion
would
to
make a motion.
accept this?
Yes, that we accept
And appoint
this.
these people to
Yes,
this?
I do.
And
Second.
I'll second, what she said.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Let us,
Mayor, one thing with that, the way we modeled that tree board after all the other boards, where there's a liaison of the council that serves on that board. You notice it's a 5-member board, there's only 4 appointees. So one of you have to draw the short straw, so to speak.
Now, is this planning on meeting right after the Parks and Rec meetings, or are you all planning on something totally different?
We would probably, still meet quarterly, but we would probably pick a different day where it wouldn't be right behind the PRCR meeting.
In that case, I'll see if someone else would like the appointment of the liaison to the tree board.
I think you'd make a great person.
No, thank you. I mean, if nobody else will do it, I will do it. But if there's anyone else who has any sort of knowledge, passion, or desire,
thank you so much, Kate. We appreciate you volunteering for that
Okay.
position. So Kate will be our representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Seriously, we appreciate you doing that. And our last new business is to review our water purchase contract with the City of Rocky Mount. And attached in our packet was the renewal water purchase contract with the City of Rocky Mount. Changes from the council directed on October the 3rd are in the red text, and changes from the town attorney, Mark Edwards, are noted in purple text. As noted at the October 3rd council meeting, this is a 10-year contract with 4 built-in 10-year renewals. The renewal language is very similar to the old contract. The water purchase volume stays the same, with a minimum average daily volume of 350,000 gallons and a maximum average daily volume of 750,000 gallons. Our current average daily volume is around 510,000 gallons. The water purchase price stays the same at the lowest rate the City of Rocky Mount sells water to other customers and who purchase it for resale. Currently, it is $2.34 per cubic foot of water, and 400 feet of water, and 748 gallons of water. A 60-day notice will be provided by the city if the rates change. The water service area between the City of Rocky Mount and the town remains the same as well. The water service area map is the last attached page that we had in our agenda report. The contract does allow for modifications to the contract, so if we needed a larger volume of water over the 40-year term of this agreement, it can be requested and obtained. Likewise, if we want a change in the water service area, it can be requested also. Do I have any comments, or were the corrections made that we needed made to this contract?
just a couple of comments on this one. On page, it's R44, page 4 of the contract. This was just a miscommunication when talking about this last time. The two parts that are stricken, they contradicted each other, but we should have kept one of them. So I propose that we keep, which said past due date shall be at least 10 days, but no more than 20 days after the date of the statement for water delivered. Keep that portion. Delete what is already deleted, and then just add past. So by the past due date is when we need to make our payments due. And then my other question in that paragraph, throughout this document, they went back and forth between town manager and mayor. So it's up to you, but do you want to be mayor, the person who resolves any disputes, or would you want that to go to directly to
I think it should
Randy?
go to Randy, because he knows the
Right.
details of it.
Okay, so town manager will be put in there. Then on page 45, 5 of the contract. And I have a feeling all of this will be changed with whatever amendments Randy has received. But now that we've taken out that we can't decrease the amount of water, that it's only going to be increased, it says where it is demonstrated that the city needs additional water to supply its customers. That was our fear, right? That if another town came on,
Right.
that all of a sudden they'd reduce our water. So now it's going to be the town, not the city. because we don't want the city to decrease our water to give to other towns. So it just strike city and put town. On page 46 or 6 of the contract, in section F, where it says power to amend, modify, or alter, I just wanted where that last period is to be a comma, and for it to say, and any said amendment, modification.
Where is that? Excuse
Oh,
me.
sorry. It's on page 6 of the contract, page 46 of ours. Section F, power to amend,
Okay,
modify,
I see
alter.
that. Okay, thanks.
No problem. So where it says herein, we're now going to have a comma, and any said amendment, modification, alteration, waiver, promise, or representation must be in a writing fully executed by both parties, just so that we know that everything is in writing. On their page 7, our page 47, the part that I wanted deleted is where it says, this is in the top paragraph, or upon the reasonable determination by the city that such is required to maintain the integrity of the system. They had said that the protective equipment shall be as required by applicable law and city engineering standard at the time of the installation and shall be updated as required by any amendments thereafter, which is fine. Anything that's required by law, we want to comply with, but I don't want them to just come back with anything saying through their reasonable determination that it's required. So I just wanted to strike that. The indemnity clause, I just think is going to change. Right now, it's very much in our favor, but instead of being a mutual indemnity, it went straight for them indemnifying us. So I think we're just going to have, per the email of the attorney, we'll have the original paragraph as it stands, and then add what the attorney had written, which is that it is also understood and agreed that the town shall not be liable for any failure of the water treatment and/or supply distribution system of the city, and the city hereby agrees to protect, defend, and indemnify the town against any loss, cost, expenses, parentheses, including attorney's fees, end parentheses, causes of actions and judgments in connection with said failure which may be alleged or established in favor of any customer in the town's system. So I think that will just be a second paragraph under the original indemnity clause.
Indemnity will be mutual. They indemnify
Exactly,
us,
that would be
we-
a
Right,
mutual,
right.
exactly. Right now, we benefit, so hey, maybe we want to keep it, but I don't think that Rocky Mount will go for that. And then the last one is on page R49, their page, the contract page 9. In section O, service area, the red part that says for the duration of this contract just needs to be moved up to 2 sentences above it. So it'll say, each party agrees for the duration of this contract not to invade the service area of the other for the purpose of selling water without the consent of the party whose service area is being invaded, period. And that is it.
Anybody else have any corrections? Kate, we always thank you for your attorney ability
Your
helping us out.
expertise in
Our free attorney. But,
Yeah.
but do you want to approve this with the corrections? Do I hear a motion to approve with the corrections?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, sorry, Lynn, did you have?
I was just gonna make the motion, yes.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
It is approved. The water purchase contract is approved. All right, town manager, do you have any comments?
Well, I was just gonna let you know, the chiefs have heard back on their SAFER grant, and Police Chief Puckett heard back on a couple of grants that he put in for PD. Unfortunately, none of them were approved. The letters that came with them cited tightening of federal funds with regard to the COVID epidemic, and those funding sources pretty much were capped, and any remaining money went to COVID-19 relief. And also some of the other comments on there, we didn't score as high as some of the other applicants. It's on a competitive basis. And I know with regard to the COPS grant, A lot of the departments hire professional grant writers. I read through Chief Puckett's stuff. It was sound, but I'm sure going head to head with professional grant writers and the same with Chief Joyner writing his own versus a professional grant writer, they're able to get the money. But anyway, I wanted to report to the council on that. And then again, Larry had asked me to update you with regard to Indian Trails and trying to get into the buyout program, so I already talked about that. Those are the only things I have.
Any comments from the council? Larry?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Mine isn't actually a comment, but I just like to ask this question. It certainly don't feel obligated tonight, but Sam, this is regarding your budget report. Looking at the 2020 taxes, the revenue line item, which is a good thing. It's showing year-to-date revenue of $2,054,594. It just seems unusual to me this early in the year that we are at 105% of budget.
So this is revenue, it's not collected revenue. This
Okay.
is just what we bill.
It's okay. Well,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
answered my question.
Okay.
All right.
There are
Thank you.
several others that are like this on here, I'll just point out a couple of them for you. It's gonna be, stormwater's gonna be the same.
Okay.
Just a couple others like that, it's gonna be what's been billed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That was it. Lee.
Ms. Hinton, do you have any
No
comments? Okay, do you have
No
anything?
comments today.
We just thank you for coming out, and we hope you stay safe and enjoy every day. Do I hear a motion that we adjourn our meetings?
So,
One thing about the Liberty Acres project before you close, is it possible, we were discussing the sign, is it possible instead of moving the sign to send a mailed notice to everyone in phase one? Our concern is if we put the sign up at the entrance to Liberty Acres subdivision, it could be confusing, especially to the people who live there, that, you know, that the subdivision is somehow getting rezoned.
I'm fine with that, and I think it's even more effective than the sign,
Right.
so the mail
That'd be
notices
fine.
is
Okay.
fine.
Thank you.
So did I get a motion to adjourn?
Oh,
moved.
A second? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Our meeting is adjourned.